Hi guys, this is another episode of Get Real with Rio. We are here with the wonderful Dr Nighat Arif. You may have seen her on BBC, telling you everything you need to know about women's health.
Thank you for having me. It's a real honour.
No, thank you for having you were late, but it's fine. No, I'm joking. I said I wouldn't tell anyone.
That is actually, no, it's good that you said that because, you know, as a GP, I'm always late for my patients.
I've never known a GP to be on time, I've got to be honest.
I have 10 minutes, but to make it to you, inside me, I'm just going, oh my God, this is so cool.
Before we get into it, where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
So I came to the UK when I was 9 years old, and I came from a very reserved sort of household. My father's actually the imam, so he's a priest and runs the mosque in Cheshire. My mother is the priest's daughter. And I realised when I was about 15, 16 years old that actually being a migrant child and learning English, I suddenly had this wealth of knowledge and education, and that was accessible and for free. And what did I do? I said I want to, get married because, well, that will wait, because my father was like, you're going to have an arranged marriage. And I said, no, I need to go and get an education first. So I went off and did the longest degree possible so my dad couldn't marry me. Yeah. And then I did medicine. After that, I trained at all various hospitals and decided hospital medicine's not for me, and then became a GP in 2010. And so, yeah, it's been this is my 17th year working as an NHS GP.
And you immediately, when you started learning and doing your exams and whatnot, was it always women's health?
No, I never wanted to do women's health. I really wanted to become a gastroenterologist because I thought this is so cool. You get to have a skill and you do, ERCPs, which is a procedure, and you can do colonoscopies and you can treat cancers, and that's so fun and sexy. And then I realized that A, I need my sleep. I can't do nights. I need my sleep. I'm very grumpy. And B, I started doing community medicine when I was training, because when you're training as a junior doctor, you do lots of different rotations. And I realised that I was seeing sort of babies, day one, all the way up to 100-year-olds. And the variety was massive, and I loved it. And women then come to women. So I'm bilingual. I speak different languages. I speak Punjabi and Urdu. And a lot of women in Slough, where I worked, are Punjabi. So they would come and speak to me in my language. And I realised that actually, hang on, I need to be able to help these women because I have the knowledge of being a Western-trained NHS doctor, but it's not translating well into my communities. You
mentioned about studying and stuff. School, good or bad?
I loved school.
Yeah.
I was never sent to school in Pakistan. So I'm going to tell you a little story, but it's got a good, happy ending. Because I was beaten by my grandmother. They always say you remember a beating in your life, metaphorically.
I was talking about this with someone the other day, actually.
Really? Yeah. Okay. So I remember at the age of 6 getting a beating, and it was from my grandmother. So there's two things that my grandmother did. One was she'd always shave mine and have my cousin's head. And secondly, we weren't sent to school because the nearest school was about a mile walk, and only the boys from the family were sent. So I remember that, and she said to me, don't go because your father's in England, and if you get kidnapped, I won't be able to look him in the eye because, unfortunately, that is what happens in areas of severe deprivation. So I remember that, and I just suddenly felt I need to have education. I need to learn because they go off and learn something. So when I came here, and my dad was like, go to school, and it's for free.
Get me there.
Yeah, I was like, get me, cut that out, please. I was like, yeah, that's amazing. And I'm still hungry even now. And I'm turning 40 in February, and I'm still massively hungry to learn. Like, I know I've written a book called The Knowledge, but I know nothing.
I was going to say, what more is there to know? You've got a book and everything.
I know nothing. Like, I feel like I'd love to learn about football. I'd love to know the technique. Like, this is the stuff that I think is amazing.
But listen, I want to get into it straight away. There's some huge taboos about women's health that are out there.
Yeah.
Which are the things that people are not talking about that they should be?
So you're a dad to 2 girls. I'm a mum to 3 boys. And one of the things that I find is that men aren't part of the conversation. Women are invested already. They know exactly what they know about their bodies. They know the game right from early age, from when they start their periods. That periods can be painful, periods can be heavy. And also they know that the relationship with their body is going to change because we are hormonal, biologically transitional beings. So we go through our periods, then we go through our fertility years, and then we go through perimenopause, menopause, and then beyond. But we hide that. So almost every bit of our biological journey is a taboo. You give me anything, periods, I'll be like, yeah, girls don't talk enough about it. In fact, the crazy thing is, it's 2024, and we still don't know what a normal period is.
I've never thought about what a normal period would be.
Yeah, because girls
What
don't.
is a normal period, though?
So the definition is anything that you have a cycle every 28 days and you bleed for on average up to 10 days. But that can vary. The amount can vary. So we now know that some women can bleed up to 230 mil, which is on average, half a pint glass of blood.
Wow. What, in one go?
In one go. And if you've got fibroids or clots or endometriosis or adenomyosis, you're going to bleed even heavier and have pain. But women and girls and the men around them don't say, oh, how's your period? It's such a shameful thing. And in some cultures, especially if you're from an ethnic minority background, it's even more shameful to talk about.
Yeah, it's only spoken about when there's a bad mood in the house.
Yeah.
But if my missus is like, if Kate is like, she says, she might come to me, I've been a bit short the last couple of hours or the last day or so because I'm actually on at the moment. And I've got a daughter now who's started to get into that. So I'm having to tiptoe around them and think to myself, actually, I ask them question after question. The first question I say, is it that time of the month? Based on what's happened.
But you're in tune, though. A lot of men won't know. But even if they do know, they feel really embarrassed or really fearful to say that. So would you say to Kate, is it that time of the month? And how is that perceived?
I think about it, but she would normally be the one that would say that it's that time of the month.
So that's really good because you're having that open conversation, but a lot of households aren't. A lot of people that I get in my clinics will say, my mother was a nightmare, or actually when she went through menopause, she completely changed and we didn't recognize her. And that was the time when our relationship disintegrated. And you sort of look back and you think, I wonder how many emotional breakdowns or relationship breakdowns happened because that open conversation wasn't happened. And the fact that you are asking Kay, or she's mentioning it to you means that she's got that comfortability with you to be able to say, because look, men know that women bleed, right? You know that your partner
But
bleeds.
even saying it like that, it's like, makes you feel like I don't really want to talking about bleeding is normally a negative thing. We're taught as kids, no?
Yeah, no, it is, absolutely. But do you know a woman bleeds for on average 7 years of her lifetime, throughout her lifetime.
Mad,
Every month she'll have a period. So if she starts at the age of about 12 and finishes around the age of about, say, 52, which is the national average for going through menopause, which is 1 year without a period. But if you take all of those months together, that's 7 years of her life that she's bleeding throughout. But yet we don't talk about that.
Oh, that's crazy.
You've just said it. The fact that you said a woman bleeds, it's just like irksome. And
we just say you want.
Exactly.
Are you bleeding?
And in my culture, if a woman is pregnant, we'll say she's ill.
Is it?
Bamare. There's a word for it. It's just crazy. And we don't have a lot of words in different languages throughout. In the deaf community, there's no word for menopause, for example, in British Sign Language. So there are so many barriers in languages about a woman's own biological journey. But if we come back to the whole bleeding thing, I often say we ask each other all the time, how are you? How are you feeling? But I've started now asking my patients, and I suppose this is because this is my doctor hat, but I will say to my patients, how was your period? How was your bleed? Did you flood? Because we don't use terminology like that. But actually, if you speak to a woman and she'll say to you, yes, I went to work and I've got fibroids and I flooded through my underwear and my clothes. I had to call my boss and tell him I'm sick. When I wasn't actually sick, it was just my monthly cycle. Then you just think to yourself, we've accommodating. So you know how to play the game. 13, 14-year-olds know how to play the game and what language that they feel is deemed appropriate to use. So that level of taboo and shame just continuously keeps going. And this is why we need men in the conversation. I need to have blokes part of it. Because it's only then that you understand that as a father, as a son.
Men, we're not taught how to approach the period or bleeding element that comes into a young life. For instance, I've got a 12-year-old daughter, and this is around the right time for it happens for her and many of her friends. But I've never been told as a man how to approach that with your daughter.
Did you ever have that conversation when you were younger at all? Were you ever part of the school education?
Not about.
What can you remember of ever being taught?
You were taught at a woman's cycle that happens, but you were never taught about language and how to approach people, how to communicate it, how to appreciate a behaviour change, maybe, or a mood change.
Yeah. But we talk now is openly talking about mental health, aren't we? So we're talking about feelings and emotions, but yet a biological journey is not still taught. Isn't that mad?
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It is.
That we're openly talking about our feelings and going, kindness is important. Kindness isn't a weakness. But yet we're not talking about the biological journeys that are happening and the hormonal changes that are happening. So from the luteal phase, so that's just before a period starts, all the way through to when she has her bleed, and then back to the menstrual cycle. So even just knowing the stages of the cycle is not common knowledge. So that's where I really thought that there was a reason why there's no point writing a women's health book for women, because they already know. It's important to write a women's health book for the men out there. So a lot of that is covered in my book. So a tip that I would say for your daughter is ask her, would you like to have a discussion with me? What can I do to make this comfortable for you? What do you need? Do you need sanitary products? Well, let's go through the sanitary products. There are pads with wings.
But we're taught that the woman in the house does that.
Yeah.
It's true. That's what
Yeah, that is true.
And my daughter will go to my missus, and I'm happy for her to do that, because, you're meant to.
But what's stopping you from having that conversation as a dad? I mean, that's your baby.
No, I know. And I'd like to, but I've never been told how to have that conversation, because it is quite like, I can imagine saying that talking about it to my daughter, and her going, because that's how society has brought even young people up as well to be thinking like that.
But you're not alone. And I think this is why having this conversation with you is so revolutionary, because this has not been had before. This is going to blow people's minds a little bit. This is a dad who has his baby who's now going through puberty and is now wanting to educate himself about her, because you want to look after her. What's the first thing you want to do as parents? I know what I'm like with my boys. You just want to protect them. And you want to educate yourself about them. So, at the moment, my 12-year-old going into his room smells like a vat of Lynx Africa. But
things haven't changed for young men. No, they never sprayed it on your arm, they sprayed it on your shirt.
Yeah, on your shirt and the neck. And now there's a 5-point. It goes around the back of the neck, apparently.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm learning something new.
So what's been the happiest moments in your life, and even the biggest achievements?
The biggest achievement, I have to say, is still my book, because there are women of colour in there, and I never saw myself as a woman of colour, a woman that wears a hijab, being seen in mainstream sort of media or TV. And I think that the first time I sat on BBC Breakfast, and a mother reached out and said, my little girls don't wear the hijab, but I really want them to, and learn about their faith, but to see someone who looks like them on TV. So representation, I know we talk about this a lot, representation was massive, and being a role model for individuals, whether you like it or not. And then I suppose the other thing that I'm massively proud of are my boys. My boys are Pakistani, British, Muslim boys who are trying to find their grounding. And I think that the hybrid of being British and Pakistani is so beautiful. And we forget that being hybrids is such a gift. We sort of want to have one identity, but actually having multiple identities is the melting pot that makes us as humans. And if you can embreed that humanity with that melting pot, then you're on to a winner. So that's where I'm at.
I definitely agree with that myself, being mixed race.
Yeah.
But when times are tough for you, I'm sure, like everyone, you've had them moments. Who do you turn to for support or a sounding board?
Definitely God. I'm a huge believer in prayer. So even today, got up and prayed. So as a Muslim, I found faith when I was about 14, 15 years old. And that's really sort of not because of my father, although I really feel bad to say that, because I adore him. He's an imam. But I found that it grounded me and humbles you a lot as well. And it's great for my mental health. It's a form of meditation for me, just having that one-on-one and that moment, even if it's 4 or 5 minutes. And I suppose the other person that I find that is a really great soundboard is my other half. We had an arranged marriage. We're married 17 years, 3 kids, a house, a mortgage, and I still haven't killed him. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's what's it called? I always think about that, like, if your other half can't be the sounding board, then it's almost like, why are you together?
Yeah, that's
because you're with that person more than anyone.
Yeah.
And they should be someone that you find easy to talk to and get feedback from.
The difficulty is that if that person isn't from your field, then they might not always understand. So he's a solicitor and I'm a doctor. And sometimes actually the worst thing is if you're from the same field, because actually then you're just talking shop all the time.
Yeah.
And so what we try and do a lot of the time is actually try never to talk shop at home, and we deal with a few issues, and communication. One of the things that I find that we don't ask each other enough is, what can I do for you? We're very quick to go, do this, do this, do this. It's in a relationship I've learned, Rio, you're doing this.
Yeah, exactly. That's wrong.
Yeah, but I've learned really quickly to sort of step back. And when someone's telling you, firstly, stop talking. And then secondly, say, what can I do for you? And let that person come to a conclusion rather than you jumping to the advice straight away.
Gives them the power.
It does, because it's really vulnerable. Sometimes you can be in a real vulnerable place. And I've had real career highs and lows. In 2018, my middle son ended up getting liver cancer. Wow. You asked about what's the toughest time. I think that was my toughest time ever. My career was in shatters. I left medicine. I had a son who needed a liver transplant. And I lived and breathed and ate and showered at King's College Hospital, and that's where I stayed with him. We luckily did get a transplant for him. But you lose your identity because I wasn't practicing as a doctor anymore. So you need to lean on those around you, and you need to have something that grounds you. And for me, that was faith. And on the other side now, I feel now's my time to give back because we went through such a tough time.
So what's the best bit of advice you've ever been given?
Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. So even if you think in a really, really crappy position, actually that's never going to stay the same. Tomorrow, or within even half a second, that could change into a completely different opportunities. So I suppose the next thing from that is never stay standing still. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward.
I like that. So what is your purpose? I know you've written a book. You do a load on TV. You're a public figure for your community as well. Big influence. But what is your purpose personally?
Oh, that's a huge question. I've never thought of that.
What gets you out of bed? What gets you out of bed and motivates you and gets that fire burning?
My patients. Do you know, I had a patient who said to me a couple of days ago, "You're much friendlier on the TV." And I was like, yeah, because...
You're just ticking people off.
Exactly. I'm not going to give you morphine. I suppose the thing that drives me is coming back to being human. And if you think of that word, I think we've forgotten how to be human in a consumerist world where everything is about quick. This is what I need to do, move on, destroy somebody else. Something that's soft and gentle, like emotions or crying or kindness, is seen as a weakness. Whereas, I'm a massive blubber. I will cry. I see patients in my room, and I have done for 17 odd years, at the highs of the highs where they're given an all clear for a cancer to the depths of the lowest because I've told them, it's really awful and they've probably not got that much to live. So I've seen that sort of strategy. And I think that amongst all of that chaos, and the world is a chaos at the moment, if you can just be human, take a step back from even the most situation where you're in the eye of the storm and just think, okay, I'm going to walk away. That's your purpose.
Funny. If you could change one thing in your world today, what would it be? I'm talking to the doctor here, so I'm looking for a great answer.
I'm just going to be really facetious and say I want women to take over the world because I'm kinder. I suppose the one thing that I would want people to have and to change, and I know I said kindness earlier before, but I suppose getting back to themselves, connection with understanding themselves first. People don't understand them. And I can tell that as a doctor. If we talk about mental health, people don't know themselves. And people don't know where they belong anymore. That sense of belonging has gone out of people, I feel. And so the one thing I find is if you could do anything is go on a journey and find where you belong. That's the first step.
You spoke about the travel you've done even just to get here today. Up and down the country, working, BBC and Salford, etc. How do you avoid burnout?
I don't. And I'll be honest, I did have burnout.
What did that look like?
So at the end of last year was my busiest year. My book had come out. This morning was happening. BBC Breakfast was happening. My surgery. I set up my own private practice as well. So I run that. I do everything about women's health. I did an international talk in Sweden as well and gone around the world doing women's health. And I thought, right, I had one friend who said, you need a holiday now. And I went off to Egypt. And I arrived the next morning, I pulled the curtains back and there was just streams of sunlight coming through. And I just lay on a lounger for 3 days like a zombie. And it hit me that I'm burnt out. Even as a doctor, I didn't know I was burnt out, but it took other people to realize that I was burnt out. And then it hit me when I stopped that actually this is burnout. So since I've come back, I'm still in the same mess. The NHS is still a mess. Thanks from government. The situation hasn't changed, but I think I now need to start putting in steps on what I value the most and let go of things instead of feeling that I have to be present at every single request that's made of me because I can't say yes. I think the power of no is the thing that I need to learn in 2020.
Same as me. I hold my hands up to that.
Yeah.
No is a sentence. So if you had 3 words that you can live by, what would they be?
Find your purpose. Know what you want to do. And that can take a lifetime. So
Find your purpose.
Yeah, find your purpose. If you don't know what you're doing, then
It's aimless.
it's aimless. Everything's aimless. Number 2, be kind to yourself and those around you. And I suppose what we were talking about, number 3, say no. Know when to say no.
Purpose, kindness, no.
Yeah.
I like it. So Nighat, I have to say thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you coming down. I know your schedule is crazy, but I thought, well, how can I have all these kids who are girls, my wife, my sisters in my family, and not want to talk to somebody who is so kind of ingrained in women's health? So thanks for your time.
Thank you.